and very nice session. So we've gotten questions. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, shall I start with the questions, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay. So the first question is that if there are associated conditions with the disorder, so say for example, the child has delayed speech and language, and along with that also has stuttering. So then how do you decide the goal? From where do we start? And also how many goals to have per session? So this is the first question.
We were going to come to this tomorrow primarily. Uh, okay, this is actually relates to tomorrow's thing. But basically, for any, it will depend client to client. Okay. For a severely challenged child, the number of goals you can work on may be limited. Now, you said a child with delayed speech and language and
Stuttering.
disfluencies or stuttering behavior. Again, it will depend on the age of the child. Age of the child. Now, if the child is 5 or 7 years old and having stuttering kind of behavior, and what is his delayed language level? If it is a 2-year-old level, then stuttering becomes less important than development of language. So you will have to weigh pros and cons of each child. Have
Okay.
I answered the question, whoever has asked?
Yeah, do let us know in the comment section. So the next question is, for how long should one stick to a goal to expect an outcome?
Again, will depend child to child, the child's learnability. That is where your dynamic assessment will come into picture. That is where how well the child is learning. And that is why when you are following a therapy plan or teaching program, you must assess in between. And that is your informal, client specific, or maybe criteria reference. Now, that is where also record keeping comes into picture. If during your therapy, your goals are very clear and you have decided for this particular goal, I'm going to give 20 opportunities for the child or for the client to show me how he does it. Then you have a record that on session 1, he did maybe 16 out of 20 correct. And you have given a time frame of maybe 6 or 7 sessions. The second session, he does 17 times correctly. Third session, he goes down to 12 correct. So this will give you how well the child is learning. Now, between second and third session, maybe the child has been absent for a while. There has been a gap of 1 week, and he's forgotten the skills that you have taught him. The fourth session, maybe it goes up to 17. And the next session, he reaches 18 or 19 out of 20. And then maybe he maintains that. Then you've reached your goal. So your record keeping helps you decide. And so record keeping is your informal assessment on day-to-day basis, day-to-day therapy time.
Okay. Yes. Thank you
Okay.
very much, ma'am. That also kind of directs to another question, that is when to have the mid therapy assessment. We've done our baseline, we've done our initial assessments and everything, but what is the right time to have the mid therapy assessment?
If the child is learning too quickly, achieving his goal too quickly, or is not achieving his goal, then we need to do a mid therapy assessment. And depending on that, we may decide to change the goal. If the goal is too easy, if the objective is too easy or too tough. So we need a more detailed assessment to find out why we are not achieving or why we are overachieving.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
that's when and when you change the goals, that is called branching.
Okay.
That is called branching. So you change.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, please share some ideas about someone with 100% intellectual disability who is totally dependent. So, I think what they mean is severe to profound intellectual disability. So the goals would be then very functional, and then
They would be very, very functional. But one still leave, there is no child who has no abilities, who has no strengths. And we have to find out what a child's strengths are and build on those strengths. And so
yes,
that is one of the first. And for such a severe child, I would look at very functional goals of giving eye contact, joint attention. I would look at feeding, just indicating yes and no. Now, indicating yes and no is a very intentional act. Okay, it's a very thought out child. But even with very profoundly intellectually challenged children, they can be taught to indicate their needs. Now, I will tell you in my experience with when I was working in with at ISCP in Kolkata, and where there were very severely physically as well as mentally challenged children. The unit was called Special Teaching Unit, and they asked me to go there, and I was at a complete loss to know what am I going to do here. These children are not speaking; they're not even looking at me. But slowly while working, I realized that they do have strengths. And one of the kids I remember, I mean, he's not a child anymore, he's 50, in his 50s. But his mother, with great perseverance, she was a special educator, taught him to go and wheel his wheelchair to the toilet when he wanted to be taken to the toilet, and wheel himself to the dining table when he wanted food. So these are the skills which can be taught with good teaching. So that's what
okay,
I'm saying. Every human being has wants and needs, and you build on that. How strong is their need?
okay. So look for the ability before the disability.
Yes, look at that is very well said, Tanvi. Look at the abilities first.
Okay. Uh, Actually, we are having questions related to specific conditions and disorders. So, the next question is how to decide goals for a child having behavioral issues. Along with, I think what they mean is, along with delayed speech and language, they are also having behavioral issues.
I think that is part of behavior modification and not today's part. But in my tomorrow's presentation, I have spoken about it. So we will take this question tomorrow.
Okay, okay.
Okay, because there are slides based on this.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Somebody has asked if we can get a YouTube link. So yes, we will share the link and the resource for this via mail. We'll send you the link, okay? And you can also reach out to us if you want the notes or the PPT. So there is another question that a child of age 13 years is diagnosed with diplegic cerebral palsy, followed by stuttering. So then how do
Okay.
we decide the long-term goals for this child?
You treat him if there is no other language deficit. Okay, the child is uh, functioning more or less age appropriately for his language and does not have any intellectual deficit, then maybe you treat him as a case of stuttering. Because I haven't, okay, one needs to see the child in more detail. Again, that
Okay,
assessment is very crucial. Find the baseline.
okay. And also
And
the
it could be part of
severity,
the,
yeah,
sorry.
the
Yes, severity,
severity.
it could be part of his whole personality that is the problem. One of the problems may not be stuttering per se. It could be neurological stuttering there. Neurogenic. It could be neurogenic stuttering.
Yes, so assessment is very important. One more question, ma'am. It's just that what I believe is no goal is small, or even as small as something like the child should be able to sit at a place. A very hyperactive child, a child with ADHD, should be able to sit for 3 minutes. Should be able to have joint attention. So no goal is small, I think. And
Not at
as
all.
clinicians, we need not have very much, concrete goals. I think it's very flexible. Um,
Tanvi, I would just
and
correct you that we need to have specific goals. Uh, but this kind of goal of sitting behavior, eye contact, joint attention can very easily be incorporated with other goals, other activities. I mean, other goals which you want to achieve through an activity, and sitting behavior, eye contact, joint attention should be part of that activity, not a separate goal. Okay,
yes,
I think so. But it is a necessary skill that a child has to learn. So we do have goals in pre-linguistic behaviors. We should definitely have these, because unless the child has those prerequisites, he's not going to learn language and communication further.
yes, very true. So I think we are done with the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for joining us, ma'am. It really created a foundation for tomorrow's session, which is going to be in depth about goal setting and with case examples. So that is going to be really useful. I request all attendees to fill up the feedback form, which is provided in the chat section. And do join us tomorrow at the same time, 5 p.m. And we look forward for the session, ma'am.
Thank you very much, all of you, for listening patiently. Thank you.